Hello and welcome to Awful Commentary. So today, Stephen, we're back on the comics bandwagon.
We certainly are. Back with more comic history.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about Ant-Man.
Oh, I don't know anything about Ant-Man.
Well, you're not alone in that.
So why are we going to talk about Ant-Man?
Ant-Man is he's rising in prominence at the moment because first of all, Age of Ultron just came out. And there's a pretty massive comic storyline tie-in with Ant-Man in that. And also, in like 2 months, he gets his own movie.
Ah!
Yeah, do you know what it's called?
Ant-Man?
It is actually, you are really good. Oh, wow.
So in a couple of months we're going to get the Ant-Man movie. So when did Ant-Man first enter the comic book realm?
Well, Ant-Man has actually been around for like decades. He first appeared in 1962. So the thing you need to know about Ant-Man is that it's not the same as with, say, Spider-Man or Iron Man, where Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Like, there have been a few Spider-Mans, like Miles Morales, but mostly Spider-Man is Peter Parker, and
Yes.
Iron Man is Tony Stark. Like, a few people have been them, but that is their identity.
Yes.
Whereas with Ant-Man, 10 different people have been Ant-Man.
Oh.
So the first Ant-Man appeared as Hank Pym in 1962.
Okay.
Then the second Ant-Man, Scott Lang, turned up in 1979, and then the third Ant-Man turned up in 2012. I think he's a pretty recent one.
Oh wow. Okay, that is pretty recent. So, who is Ant-Man? What? I'm guessing something to do with ants.
You would be right. You are.
Who is
You are on
or
point.
these multiple Ant-Men?
Yeah.
And what can they do?
So the first Ant-Man that we ever see in the comics is Hank Pym. So he's the first one. And in the movie, he's being played by Michael Douglas. So Hank Pym discovers these things that he calls Pym particles because he has a little bit of an ego trip. When I say a little bit, I mean he's got an ego trip. And these Pym particles allow him to shrink his body in size. So he just goes whoop to basically about the size of an ant or smaller than an ant.
Okay.
And he develops this helmet that allows him to communicate and essentially control ants. So he can talk to them and make them do his bidding.
Oh.
Which sounds like you're like, you know, when you've got the Hulk, really, what's a guy who could control ants gonna do? But being able to shrink down allows him the ability to do things that nobody else can because he's so much smaller. So interfacing with computers at a micro level or sneaking into places or whatever. So the actual persona of Ant-Man lends itself really nicely to this stealth and thieving, which is where we get the second Ant-Man with Scott Lang in the 1970s, because Scott Lang is a thief.
Ah.
And so as a thief, he starts employing the Ant-Man technology on more nefarious purposes.
Ooh.
But Scott Lang, he's a thief, but he's still like a good thief.
Okay.
He's doing it for his daughter, and then later on, his daughter becomes a superhero called Stature in the Young Avengers comics, and she's pretty cool.
Okay.
The third Ant-Man is Eric O'Grady, and Eric is
Irish?
He sure as hell better be with a name like Eric O'Grady.
Right.
He is an ex-SHIELD agent.
Okay.
So Scott Lang is a thief, so his morals are a little bit bendable. Yeah.
Yes.
But Eric is like gone. Yeah, he becomes a superhero. He's not a villain, he's a hero. But he doesn't do it to help people as much as he does it to seduce women. And like he's just a bit of a douche. But he's pretty good as a trained SHIELD agent. So he ends up being on Captain America's secret Avengers team.
Oh, cool. It does seem that on the hierarchy of cool superpowers, Ant-Man doesn't seem like he would be particularly high.
Ant-Man doesn't seem like he would rank that highly because his power is to shrink.
Yeah.
But Steve, this is when it gets a little bit crazy because 2 years after he first appears as Ant-Man, Ant-Man doesn't sell that well in comics. So 2 years after he appears, I wonder why Ant-Man doesn't sell so well. So 2 years afterwards, Hank Pym comes back as not just Ant-Man, but also Giant Man.
Oh.
So he reverse engineers the Pym particles. So depending upon what he wants to do, he can either go whoop or become like as tall as a house.
Ah.
And when he's Giant Man, he has like the proportional strength of Hank Pym at that size.
Okay.
So he gets super strength, and he's just massive, and he can crush houses, walk through things. And so, although the movie is called Ant-Man, I don't know whether or not we will see a transformation into Giant Man in this one, or if that will be something that they might wait. They might wait to show.
That's pretty interesting. So, is there any notable things that Ant-Man has done? Obviously, he has found or created this Pym particle.
Yeah, but which is a pretty big deal in the Marvel
Yeah.
comics.
What else is he known for in the Marvel universe?
Well, Hank Pym is known for generally being batshit insane.
Ah.
So he is married to, or was married to, Janet Van Dyne, who is the Wasp. So Ant-Man's girlfriend, wife, lover, ex-wife, whatever the hell their relationship now,
Yeah.
is the Wasp, who after he tells her his secret identity, she's like, oh, give me some powers. So he does. And Wasp is much more of a stable Avenger than Hank Pym is.
Okay.
Because Hank Pym just is constantly going insane. So he stops being Ant-Man for a while and becomes Giant Man. Then he stops being Giant Man and he becomes Yellow Jacket. And then he stops being Yellow Jacket and he becomes Goliath. Or I might be getting the orders of that mixed up. But he becomes all of these different personifications of the same character.
Ah, okay.
Yellow Jacket is going to turn up in the Ant-Man film as well. But interestingly, Yellow Jacket won't be the persona of Hank Pym. It's going to be the villain. The main villain will be this Yellow Jacket character.
Ah, okay.
So that will be interesting. But Goliath is a more interesting one because although Hank Pym becomes Goliath initially, he then stops being Goliath, and then pretty much every other Marvel hero has been Goliath at one point or another.
Oh, right. Okay.
Like Hawkeye at some point became Goliath and started using the Pym particles to get really big. And most importantly, there was Bill Foster, who was when he first debuted in the comics, he debuted as Black Goliath.
Okay.
So guess what race Bill Foster is?
White British.
You're completely wrong. He's African American.
Ah.
So as if Marvel Comics hadn't progressed enough by this point, they still had to have it that if you were black, black is in your title.
Yeah.
So he wasn't Goliath, he was Black Goliath. But later on in the comics, he became actual Goliath.
Okay, nice.
And in the Civil War storyline, which is the film coming up, Goliath ends up in a fight against the evil cloned cyborg Thor.
Okay.
We'll cover that in a different video. But yeah, we'll worry about that later. And Goliath goes to put Thor down, and evil robot cyborg clone Thor shoots lightning through his chest and kills him.
Oh.
And then all of that is when the Civil War changes. Because before then, everyone's been like, yeah, I'm right, no, I'm right. Then Goliath dies, and everyone sort of freaks out. But that is even more prominent because the cyborg robot Thor was made in part by Hank Pym.
Oh. So what ties or links are there between Ant-Man and Ultron? If we're getting an Ant-Man film, surely after Age of Ultron, how do those two fit together?
In the MCU, it doesn't seem like they fit together that well at all. But in the comics, Tony Stark has almost nothing to do with Ultron.
Okay.
It's actually all Hank Pym. So as we said in the Ultron video, the other week, Hank Pym is the one who makes Ultron. So Hank Pym is like Ultron's dad, which is a pretty big deal. In the comics, the comic tie-in for Age of Ultron was called Rage of Ultron.
Oh. That sounds like a great title, Dom. What are you talking about? So overall, how important is Hank Pym and, or more importantly, Ant-Man to comics?
Ant-Man is actually more important than you would think, because although it is very rare that there is a standalone Ant-Man, Giant Man comic, he is one of the founding members of the Avengers.
Okay.
So in the Avengers first form, it consists of Ant-Man / Giant Man, Wasp, Hulk, and Rick Jones, who's like Hulk's best buddy.
Okay.
Iron Man and Thor.
Okay.
And that means that really Ant-Man Giant Man is the only one not to have turned up properly in the actual Avengers films.
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting.
So of all the like Captain America isn't a founding member of the Avengers. The Avengers find him frozen in the ice in the comics. But before he is there, Ant-Man / Giant Man and Wasp are, and they haven't turned up at all. So actually, as these characters go in the comics, he's a pretty prominent member of the Marvel universe, and he's always considered in Marvel to be one of the like top 10 most intelligent people on the planet. So Hank Pym is pretty important.
What have I learned? We know that there have been 3 Ant-Men throughout history.
But many more giant men, Goliaths and Yellow Jackets.
So we've had Hank Pym, Scott Lang, and Eric O'Grady, who I think is going to be my favourite of them all. Definitely nothing to do with the fact that he should be Irish.
He's blatantly Irish. Yeah.
So he was originally comics from early 60s and then again in the 70s. He created Ultron due to his incredible intelligence, and he was one of the original members of the Avengers.
So thank you for watching us today on Awful Commentary. Join us again as we do another comic or video game or movie or God knows what. Anything. It could be anything.
Oh my God, we're crazy.
I've gone mental. Much like... actually, topical.